Well, that brings up a related question, because in the book of Acts, I believe that the scriptures show that there is no formula.
Yes.
And another article to the formula is the baptism of the Holy Spirit.
Yes.
So could you talk on that for a sec?
Well, of course, always keep in mind what baptism means. It just means to be submerged or put into or completely under it. If you use the word by its meaning, it's impossible to partly baptize something. It means to put it all the way under. So, starting with that, he talks about the baptism of the Spirit. Now, the Spirit is not some other thing. We have one God. He is unified. There is one. There's not three gods. There's not this God, that God, and the other God. They're all one. But God operates in different ways. For example, as what we call the Father, it's just like the supervising, all above everything God. But he puts himself into a form that our human mind can comprehend in the form of Jesus. Hebrew word Yeshua. A human form that we can recognize and visualize. And then there's this called the Spirit. The Spirit is God just the same as the Father or the Son. But the Spirit is that which works in the invisible way, unseen and yet very real and very powerful. And it's the way that is not limited by space and time. For example, when Jesus went around with his disciples, he could be either at Galilee or at Jerusalem or somewhere else, but not everywhere at once. And so his means of working with people was limited to a lot of what we would think of as the human form. But the Spirit is infinitely unlimited. The Spirit of God can be in Ukraine or in Israel or in Anchorage or Uzbekistan or Russia, or it can be in 2014 or in 550 BC. It makes no difference. God's Spirit is not limited by time or space. And so he says, I want you to be submerged into that so that whatever he wants to do with you is not limited by your mere human abilities. And how many times we think, well, I can only do so much because of my limitations. But when we are under that submersion into the Spirit of God, the limitation is, what does God want to do? Because he is not limited by anything. And so when he talks about the baptism of the Spirit, some people think there's certain evidences have to show people performing certain things or doing certain things. But as we read the way the Lord has worked through people in the book, sometimes he did things that seemed pretty outlandish, pretty outrageous. Other times very simple things that didn't seem like so much. There was a time when the Lord would say to a man, you gave me a cup of water when I wanted it. And he was blessed by that. Would that be a work of the Spirit? To do that which was pleasing to him, and yet the man would think, well, that was such a little, I don't ever remember doing that. When did I ever do that? Not big enough to even remember what the Lord said, that's what I wanted. So my guess is sometimes we think because a thing is not outlandish and very radical, that it's not of the Spirit. But my tendency is to believe the Spirit can do whatever he pleases to do. Whatever serves the business of the Father is of the Spirit. So if we're submerged into that, then when we wake up in the morning, we're going to be saying, well, Lord, what do you got for today? How can I be of a way to bless your name or to praise you or to thank you? And so we are immediately committed to whatever the Spirit wants. It seems to me like that's what it really is. It may not show too much on the outside, or it may. God can do what he pleases.